But you'll have those same organizations that have that doing draconian password reset rules, like change your password every
90
90
days.
days.
Yeah.
And it's got to be 16 characters long. It's got to have upper and lower. It's got to, it can't have been reused in the last 20 passwords. And it's like, man, you're not following like the Nist recommendations. And if you think you can do it better than Nist,
More power to you, I guess, right?
Yeah. So,
well, you know what drives me crazy is you've got, a modern, very good authentication platform like an Azure or even an Okta, and you've got all the bells and whistles, and you don't enforce MFA everywhere, right? You've got some other system that's like, we don't have MFA on that one, but hey, we've got it on these other, 80 systems. Guess where the targeted attacks are going to go?
This is Identity at the Center. If it has anything to do with IAM, this is the go-to podcast. Now your hosts, Jim McDonald and Jeff Stedman.
Welcome to the Identity at the Center podcast. I'm Jeff, and that's Jim. Hey, Jim.
hey, Jeff, how are you?
Oh, not so bad yourself?
Well, it's been a comedy of errors technically to get this episode started. So, given all that, I'm good. I'm in a good mood. Next week we're going to be out in Las Vegas. I guess by the time this episode drops, it'll be this week in Las Vegas for Identiverse. It feels like we've been talking about it for the last 6 months, right?
I think we have been talking about it for the last 6 months. But yeah, it is finally here. I think, let's see, it'll be Monday when people listen to this. And we'll probably be running around somewhere, getting set up and prepped and ready to do stuff. But I think the conference itself doesn't start till Tuesday. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back or like congratulate ourselves, but, putting out a podcast requires a lot more work than the hour and 15 minutes that the podcast recording is, the output is, right? And the conferences, especially, like we have to get there a little bit early, kind of map out where we're going to be, make sure we have power and all the things that we never had to worry about before.
It's a different set of problems. Like, at home, it's internet, certainly power, and just the weirdness that AV can have with different OSs and browsers and stuff like that. But yeah, you get to a conference, and the thing that I care about is there a power outlet within reach, right? of where we're going to be recording so that we can do that. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I think looking forward to seeing a lot of, friendly faces, new faces, meeting a lot of folks. I've had a lot of requests to, stop by different vendor booths and things like that. So I will try to get to as many as I can, but apologies in advance if I'm not able to hit everybody. It'll be pretty busy for both of us.
Did you get the request from Ron to come over to his booth and check out the Belgian chocolates?
No, I didn't see that one.
Okay, well, I'll share that one with you because anybody that's going to have chocolates at their booth, I'm stopping by.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I've had a lot of requests to meet for coffee, and I think if I met all the people for coffee that have asked, I drink a lot more coffee than I was planning on drinking.
Mm-hmm. What happens if you don't drink coffee like me? Drink a soda or something like that?
Yeah.
Can we normalize, let's meet for a beverage rather than, don't push your coffee agenda on me?
Yeah, you're not a coffee guy or a tea guy.
No. Caffeine,
usually
soda.
It's one or the other.
Yeah. No, none of the above.
So what should people do if they want to, reach out and kind of either set up time or at least let us know that they'd like to meet? Because anybody who wants to meet me, I want to meet them.
I mean, LinkedIn probably is the best way. Get messages that way. I mean, just walk up and say hello, or even if it looks like we're busy, just at least walk up, say hello. We'll try to make as much time as we can. Come stop by, Copperleaf 7, where we're going to be recording and, watch an episode and try to catch us maybe, before or after an episode begins or ends. Like, that's probably the best spot. But seriously, for anybody who wants to say hello or get a official fist bump of gratitude for listening, just literally just, grab my arm or say, hey, Jeff, or whatever. I'm happy to stop and chat.
Absolutely. Yeah. Someone someone messaged me, and they're a real listener when they bring up something you said on one of the episodes. And I was in the Atlanta airport the other day, and it didn't smell like a bathroom to me.
It didn't for me either. I got to tell you, I had a terrible flight home from Chicago that lasted from Sunday into Monday because of weather in the actual area. And I had to exit the airport, and I didn't smell anything. So, if you listen to that episode, hopefully it sounds to me, or it smelled to me like Atlanta had their act together.
Well, you're like a pro traveler at this point, and I remember when I first started traveling, those kind of episodes would drive me batty. Like, you're supposed to be leaving at 4:00 and get there at 6:00, and then it just gets delayed. They cancel the flight at 1 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
You go take a hotel, sleep for an hour, then come back for a 6 a.m. flight. It gets pushed.
Mm-hmm.
And you finally wind up getting home at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. You're just like, I probably could have walked home faster.
I definitely could have. I could have driven home from Chicago faster than it took for me to get just from Atlanta to Asheville. I got to Atlanta no problem from Chicago. It was just, there's weather, and I get it, clouds and stuff like that. But, first world problems. My magical chair in the sky couldn't get me to where I needed to go in the time frame that I expected. Oh, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah. So, as far as the podcasting schedule, we've got 2 podcasts lined up on Tuesday morning. I know a lot of folks are flying in Tuesday morning. If you're flying in, you're probably not going to get there in time to see us podcast live. Wednesday, at this point, it's looking like we're not going to be podcasting on Wednesday.
That's like a free day. Like, we may pull random stuff to happen that day.
We could, yeah. But we don't want to make any promises yet because they're not scheduled right. But Thursday, we should do 3 episodes. So mid-morning through mid-afternoon. Like you said, Copperleaf 7 is the room where we'll be. Hopefully we have like one of these style of, placards in front of the room. But even if not, Copperleaf 7 is where we'll be. And we would love to have you just drop in and listen.
Yeah, come see the session also that I'm moderating around CAPE, Continuous Access Evaluation Profile, Shared Signals Framework. That'll be fun and interesting. I had a prep session earlier today with the group to talk about what we're going to talk about. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but there will be things for audience members to obtain. I don't want Sean to get mad at me, so I don't know. And I don't know if that's a secret or not, but I would just say if you attend, there is the opportunity to receive something related to CAPE and SSF and things like that. Okay. Hopefully that's cryptic enough to drive people in, and I balance the line where Sean doesn't get mad at me.
Well, Sean is from Disney, so when you said it was...
I can tell you, it's not anything Disney related.
I was disappointed when you said it was related to CAPE and not to Disney.
It's not the Iron Man outfit or anything like that. I would love to have like that, but no, it is not that. But kind of a neat little thing to maybe received. Definitely a limited edition. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, the other thing I'll mention is like if you're getting there and you haven't kind of like solidified your after-hour schedule, Tuesday night we are co-hosting an event. Identity Center Podcast, RSM, and Talos Group. We're having a happy hour at the Lift Bar, which is in the Aria. In my opinion, it's like the best bar in the Aria. I've only been there.
And Jim would know because
one time, but and I've already formulated opinion on the best. But I'll say that we'd love to have folks there. I'm not really sure where we are in terms of the list. I'm not managing it this year.
Yeah.
So we might already be getting close to full. But either way, best way to reach out is LinkedIn, direct messages, and we'll keep an eye on that during the week.
Yeah, there's a guest list and a registration link, so I'm limited spots. So I know I've sent out a couple already, but if you're interested in attending, hit us up on LinkedIn. We can provide the link. And like you said, Jim, we're not in charge of the list, but hopefully we can, maybe influence it and get some listeners in as well.
Yeah. You and I will probably be hanging out when we do have free time. We're not podcasting or you're not facilitating. We'll be at the Talos Group booth. They've allowed us to kind of like park ourselves there. So that's going to be a good way to find us as well.
Yeah, I'll probably bounce around between sessions and stuff like that too. So, actually attending the conference and hopefully hearing from people and learning stuff.
That's a foreign concept to me, man. It's like we've gone to the conferences so many times and like barely been able to go to sessions, but every year I go determined that this year is going to be different. I'm going to hit more sessions, and this year, especially with Wednesday being kind of an open day for me, you have the session, and I'll be there for your session. But before and after that, I'm planning to hit as many sessions as possible. And always, as always, the keynotes are, I'm always there for the keynotes.
Yeah. Is it sad that one of the things I'm looking forward to is getting a new headshot done? So, pro tip, if you don't have a headshot, go get one. Like, conferences are a great time to do that. You stand in line for a couple of minutes, you get a few, high quality pictures taken, and boom, you've got a new headshot.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, do it on the day when you decide to wear your business casual clothes.
Right. Or at least something
not your
that you
Metallica
can
t-shirt.
Crop, right? Or, hey, if you want to wear Metallica t-shirt, that's fine. I mean, that just
more
shows your
power
personality.
to you.
Right, yeah. Who knows? Maybe, Metallica is hiring and they want to look for an identity person to gatekeep, all their secret recordings.
Probably not, but yeah.
Hey, man, guy can dream.
Maybe.
Yeah. What I feel like this is our last chance to do a promo also for it. Should we mention our discount code? Even though, like, at this point, man, we really should have registered before you just show up at Identiverse.
Yeah. If you're counting on the discount code now, that will be a record. I don't think anybody's ever used it on the day before the conference, but
right.
Why don't you go ahead and give it one more time?
Yeah, and it'll be in our show notes too. But IDV 24-IDAC25. If you just decided on a whim to hop on a plane, or you're in the Vegas area, like, oh, I'm going to stop by Identiverse, and you just casually do that, that gets you 25% off. And hopefully it works on the same day. Actually, I don't even know. Hopefully it works, but yeah, if that's something that you forget to register, that has happened before. I won't name names, but somebody did show up, and wasn't me, showed up and realized that they did not register and had to pay same day rates to get in the conference.
That's definitely not me this year, because I registered and then I checked with one of our folks on the inside at the conference to make sure that my registration, even though I had all the confirmation emails, I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah. So I know we planned on making this episode a little bit shorter, but we should probably talk about something identity related. There was a report, the 2024 State of Passwordless Identity Assurance, that just came out, produced by Hypr. Do you want to talk a little about that? Can we kind of just set the table for you?
Yeah. I mean, the basis of the report is about organizations were surveyed in terms of, what kind of identity-related breaches they've experienced, what percentage of those organizations have experienced those breaches. I think my biggest takeaways, I went through the document really quickly. It's just released yesterday. The takeaway was what a high percentage of organizations are running into these breaches, something like 75%. And of those, over 90% was either the credentials were fumbled or the authentication was weak. So those are two things that really jumped out at me. What jumped out at you from that report?
Well, I had three numbers that I had picked out, and you picked one of them, which was 91% of breached organizations basically said that authentication weaknesses were a leading cause of why they had an issue. So that's a lot to attribute to it. You mentioned this, it was 78% experienced some sort of identity-based attack. I got two other numbers for you. Let's see if you can guess. The average cost of authentication-related breaches in the last 12 months was X million dollars. Solve for X.
It's at least 1 million, though. You're giving me that hint.
I am.
All right, I was going to say 2 million.
Nope. $5.48 million. 5.5 basically to fix, authentication related breaches. So, it's probably a decent qualification there. They're talking about not all breaches, breaches that were based on authentication. That's a lot of money. Hopefully that gives folks out there some ammunition to basically say, hey, we probably should have MFA in place and conditional rules, adaptive rules, maybe go passwordless, or the alternative is this is something you might be looking at paying out in the future if you fall prey to this attack.
Yeah, $5.4 million is going to show up on your annual report, and that's, to me, kind of one of the litmus tests of, like, how bad was it? It's not something you just kind of keep within your department and, like, yeah, we won't let that happen again. That's potentially a career-limiting type of event to take place. So, but I think, who's really surprised by that? When you talk about like a breach taking place and data being exfiltrated from your organization or ransomware being planted on your systems, what choice do you have really but to pay the ransom, or at least deal with the consequences of that? Or if your data is exfiltrated, providing services like identity protection services to the individuals affected, plus your PR groups out there, like, trying to make it sound like it's not as it really probably was. Yeah, so this cost us kind of mount.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if I had to add up all the credit monitoring stuff that I have for free because of breaches, I think I'm good for the next couple decades. It seems like the de facto thing, but let's see. There was another number. 89% of organizations believe passwordless authentication provides the highest level of security. Now, obviously, this was Hypr, and they are a vendor that plays in this space, but that's a pretty decent number. I wonder what the other 11% think when it comes to why they don't consider passwordless the highest level of authentication. I wonder if it's maybe like an identity assurance levels, or they're thinking maybe, some super uber cryptography and, validation for governments, stuff like that. I'm not sure.
Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe they think MFA plus password is good enough.
Could be.
I mean, I'm not going to pick on any organization specifically, but you see it happen so often where it's like they have a high-end MFA tool like the Azure Authenticator, where it'll throw a number on the screen that used to be like, okay, pick one of these three. Mm-hmm. Hacker could just get lucky. Mm-hmm. So, but now it's like, oh, you see the number on the screen, you have to enter it in. So, like, I think that MFA tool is really strong. But you'll have those same organizations that have that doing draconian password reset rules, like change your password every 90 days.
Yeah.
And it's got to be 16 characters long. It's got to have upper and lower. It's got to, it can't have been reused in the last 20 passwords. And it's like, man, you're not following like the Nist recommendations. And if you think you can do it better than Nist,
more power to you, I guess, right?
Yeah. So,
well, what drives me crazy is you've got, a modern, very good authentication platform like an Azure or even an Okta, and you've got all the bells and whistles, and you don't enforce MFA everywhere. Right? You've got some other system that's like, we don't have MFA on that one, but hey, we've got it on these other, 80 systems. Guess where the targeted attacks are going to go?
Yeah. So I think that could explain some of the other 11%. I think there's also just a portion of the population that probably doesn't know. Because passwordless is like on the multiple choice.
Mm-hmm.
They might
like, that's not a real thing. You can't get rid of passwords.
Right, it's not a real thing. They're not keeping up, and it's like, no, this is real. It's really here now.
Mm-hmm.
But so from what I've been reading is that one of the things, and we're going to have Andrew Shikhyar as one of our guests at Identiverse, and so supposedly he's going to announce some news right here. So make sure you're downloading episodes over the next 2 weeks as we're dropping them. But what I've read somewhere was that FIDO is starting to say, okay, yeah, we kind of like come so far with the passkeys, and it's the best form of authentication for web applications, like possession-based authentication. But now what's the next generation of improvement? And it's like the identity verification process, doing a validated or verified credential.
I'll say you
part
that
of, like,
or
identity
non-web
proofing.
apps. Like non-web apps is also too. Like that's always a challenge. Is like I don't think like SSO and MFA is a challenge if you're already online. But what if you have like a legacy app or an on-prem app or something like that where it's not web-based, right? You see like proxies and stuff like that sometimes. That could be an interesting use case to try to figure out how to put passwordless in front of that. I know there's third-party vendors that do some of that work, but that could be an interesting evolution too.
Right. Yeah, but I think like the identity proofing is really, I mean, that resonates with me. Like, if you have the identity right, and you're doing an identity proofing process where you're maybe picking up some factors that can be used for either the authentication or for resetting the credentials, if you will. So in other words, you're doing that live selfie test. And so rather than just having a magic link sent to your email when you need to reset your password or reset your credential, you have to go through the live selfie test again. And are you the same person?
Every
If
single
not,
time.
maybe that's when you start getting into human intervention.
Oh, here I know. Here's what's next. We should invent a tiny little camera that sits at the top of your screen and is just always watching you to make sure that it's always you.
Big brother.
Yeah. Anything else from the report that you want to talk about? Because we'll have it linked in our show notes for people to go out and get a copy of it themselves.
Now, here's like, even though in the end, again, you mentioned like this report came from Hypr, and the conclusion that it came to around Passwordless definitely, matches up with their marketing message. I still think it's very beneficial when organizations are out there and providing real world research to the community. So I think that's something I wanted to highlight. Like when we get an opportunity to find these reports, share the information, share the link, and for folks to go out there and download the report, read up on it, sharpen your own saw.
Yeah. I mean, these little numbers and little nuggets of information are great at parties, right? Hey, what's going on in your world? Well, did you know that 75% expect AI to provide an advantage over cyber criminals? I need to read the report and see what that means, but I mean, certainly AI is everywhere, but now it's obviously in the identity and the security space too.
Yeah,
you can tell I'm really fun at parties.
Using AI, and we're going to be using AI, so it's going to be.
You can tell I'm really fun at parties because I'm bringing up facts like this.
Oh yeah, identity parties anyway.
Yeah, exactly. What else do we want to talk about? We're trying to make this a little bit of a shorter episode.
I think making a shorter episode makes a lot of sense because we can see if, people like the shorter episodes or if the long format that we've been doing for the last 5 years. I think we've been trying to do shorter episodes for 5 years. And it's like, this is going to be a shorter episode. It winds up being an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah. I'd be curious to hear from folks if they'd rather have something that's more like half an hour or an hour, or we generally try to shoot for 45 minutes, but sometimes conversation is just so good. And sometimes it takes a little bit to get to the actual conversation that we run a bit long, but I'm curious to see what people think and take that feedback and maybe do something with it.
Also, like now that we've been doing more video, if people are enjoying the video or sticking to the audio, I think we're going to do both regardless of what people's opinion is, right?
So your opinion doesn't matter. We're going to do both video and audio.
Your opinion doesn't matter, but please share it with us anyway. No, right. But I mean, I listen to mostly audio podcasts. So I do watch some podcasts on video that are more like TV shows, but podcasts like ours I listen to on audio. We're not doing anything like crazy in the video.
Yeah, I don't listen to podcasts. Those are stupid. What else? Anything else, or should we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up, man.
I was trying to think of a lighter note question, and I didn't really think of anything. So it's going to be just kind of off the cuff here. What is the worst thing that you can think of to do in Vegas next week? What do you absolutely not want to do?
So, don't want to stay out and party till like the sun comes up, because you're probably not going to go to any of the sessions the following day. I'm not trying to be like poo-poo old grandpa, get off my lawn. I'm just giving some advice, because the same advice I think we've given a million times is like, pace yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think that, look, there's always going to be parties to go to. There's always going to be like craft tables to go to. Do those things, but do them in moderation. And then I would say, like, to flip the script on that question, some things that are fun to do. I think the shows in Vegas are like incredible. Every show I've been to is awesome. I'm doing 2 different shows that I haven't done before. One is called Shim Lim. He's a magician over at the Mirage. The Mirage is only going to exist for another 2 months. And then we're going to the Sphere. So
that's cool.
I'm really excited about that. I mean, it just seems like such a great experience. So how about you?
I don't have any fancy plans like that. My brother's going to be in town, so we'll probably get some dim sum off strip or something like that. But I'm the same way. I think, staying up all night, that is a young man's game, and I am no longer that. So I need my beauty sleep to try and take care of this ugly mug. But I think not taking advantage of the city of Vegas is something that I don't want to not do. Great food, great people watching. This is an opportunity, one of the best conferences of the year for identity, to talk with people in the space, get their opinions on things, stuff like that. So I'm trying to take full advantage of it. Hopefully I can attend more sessions than I normally do. So I'm hopeful that I will not be in Copperleaf 7 just straight editing the whole time.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's so much to experience. So take it all in. Mm-hmm. Just pace yourself.
All right, this might be a record for us. The clock that as I'm watching this is 25 minutes, almost 26 minutes. We'll go ahead and wrap it up for this week. We're at Identiverse. If you're listening to this, come say hello, say hi. We'll be walking around. Jim got his beard done. He's got a special jacket that he's going to be wearing. We'll be on Copperleaf 7 doing podcast recordings at different points throughout. I'll be hosting a panel on CAPE with some new friends. Let's see, that's Wednesday at 11:40. So come out and check that out. And what else? On the web, idacpodcast.com, youtube.com/IDAC or /@IDAC podcast. We'll get you right there. We have a link also on our webpage. And let's see what else. Mastodon, IDAC podcast at InfoSec.exchange. Are you starting to a trend here, like IDAC podcast? Wherever
what
you go.
X? You didn't say X. Are we still doing X?
I don't know if we're still there. I just haven't decided not to promote it, but I guess we will as well. At IDAC podcast. How about that?
There you go.
All right. Connect with us on LinkedIn. If you want to meet up, drop us a note. We'll do our best to try to do that. Walk up, say hello. We're always happy to meet folks. Jim's going to have stickers. I think I'll probably have some as well, or I'll resupply as I see you, Jim, for the first time in a while. And yeah, like, subscribe, do all those fun things. Share it with a friend, share it with an enemy. Don't care as long as someone's listening or watching. So we'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for watching or listening, and we'll talk with y'all on the next one.
You've been listening to Identity at the Center. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit the website at identityatthecenter.com. See you next time on Identity at the Center.